What's going on? We're live with game reviews, I guess. Yeah, I'm not super prepared for this stream, but I'm prepared enough, I guess. Yeah, I'm gonna be reviewing all of the games that I played in the year of 2021, and let's just hope this goes well. Yeah, last year I played about, well, actually, I have an exact number, 48 games. And we're just gonna go over them for the next little bit as this music plays. Yeah, let's just get started. I'll have a little thing showing what game I played when, or I guess just what game I played. Let's just get started. I'm really bad at these, if you didn't know. Last year, and I guess previous years before that, I did these pre-recorded over and just uploaded them to YouTube, but I just wanted to do something different because, well, it was a lot of work for just one video. So just doing it on the fly on Twitch just seems a lot easier. Anyways, yeah, just start anyways. Yeah, the first game that I played in 2021, or I guess the first game that I beat in 2021, because this list is only gonna contain games that I beat last year. So if I played it but I didn't finish it, then it's not gonna be on this list. Yeah. The first game that I beat last year was Dragon, a game about a dragon. It's it's a silly game, but it's good. Well, obviously, it's about a dragon. You play as a little dragon in a crayon-drawn world, and you have to save your girlfriend because the king kidnapped them. It was all right. You get powers as you go along, like you get new powers as you go along, I think, and I mean it was all right. The landscape landscape being a crayon drawn world, it felt unique, and it was, I don't know. I mean, it feels like just one of those filler games. I don't know. But that isn't to say that it was a bad game, but there wasn't anything like super remarkable about it. The dialogue was actually, it was very silly, but it was good, kind of silly. And the platforming was good enough, but I don't know. Like I said, it's one of those filler games, so it's not something that's super noteworthy, but it's all right. It's like a couple dollars on Steam. Actually, I'm gonna look that up right now just so I'm accurate in this. I mean, it's on sale right now, so it's going to be cheaper, but... Oh, wait, no, it's... What? Huh. Okay, but yeah, it's $5 on Steam. So, yeah. You get what you get. Anyways, let's move on to the next game, because I don't really have a lot to say about that one. Next up, let's pull up the game. Refunct. This is a 3D platformer where you're platforming around in first person, and you're collecting these cubes as well as pushing all these buttons so you can get more cubes and more buttons, and it's nice. I think this was also like $1 on Steam too. It's super short, and oh yeah, it's like $3, but it's on sale right now for like 75 cents. But yeah, it's all right. It's not a terrible game by any means, but again, it's kind of one of those filler games. It's not terrible, but it's not like super noteworthy. Although I will admit that I remember the music being super chill and relaxing, and the platforming itself felt pretty good, honestly, for being a first-person 3D platformer. But yeah, it's all right. Oh, I never even mentioned this. I'm not gonna be rating them this year, just because that just adds more work into it. I don't know. You can tell that this is super on the fly, and this wasn't super prepared this year because the previous years were just so demanding of the time for this project thing. For one video, it was just so time demanding because I would have to write out the whole reviews, and then I'd also have to grab all the relevant footage, which was a much bigger pain than I thought it would be. Even if I was just grabbing trailers, it was very time consuming. But anyways, yeah, Refunct it's all right. It's not terrible. I'd recommend it, especially if it's on sale. But it is super short. It's even shorter than the last game, the Dragon game. I think you can beat it within like half an hour. If you're really fast, you can beat it in like what was the there's an achievement for like 8 minutes or something ridiculous like that. Refunct. Here we go. Yeah, you finish Refunct in 8 minutes. That's one of the achievements. Like, holy. Oh, there's one for under 4 minutes. Oh, even faster. Wow. Okay, but yeah, this is a super short game. Oh boy. Okay, but it has some replay value in trying to get the best time and trying to avoid jumping on as many of the blocks as you can, because when you jump on one of the blocks, it colors in, so you know what platforms like that you've jumped on. Anyways, yeah, that's Refunct. It was all right. Moving on is the next game. Oh, here we go. Okay. Clubhouse games, 51 classic games. Let's make this the right size because, of course, they were not all the same size. Jeez. So yeah, Clubhouse games. That was actually a lot more fun than I was expecting. And there's having 51 games, like that's a large amount of games. So you have a lot of classic games in this. You have checkers, you have chess, you have yacht, which is knockoff Yahtzee, you have knockoff Uno. So many good games. But I will say that Ludo, which is knockoff Sorry or something, it was awful. Like, I could not beat the AIs to save myself. Like, it took forever to get first place in that. Like, holy. But yeah, having 51 games, that is a lot of value for just one game. And if you get it on sale, it's even cheaper. In fact, I think it's like just $50 straight up if you're getting it full price. Let me just double check the pricing for this. Clubhouse games, 51 worldwide classics. All right, Nintendo says it is worth. Where's the price? You're not gonna tell me the price? Okay, fine. I'll go to Amazon. It's fine. It's perfectly good. Amazon says $38. Huh. Wow. I guess that's just a reduced price. Oh well, anyways, it's a really good value regardless, and it's of course because it's online, you get to play with friends, and if they have the games, then you have a lot of games to choose from to play with friends and stuff. It's just a really good game. But I don't know. I haven't played it recently because I just haven't had I don't know, a chance to. Because I don't know anyone who actually owns it, like, in my friend group. So I don't have I don't know, I just don't have a lot of opportunities to play it lately. But even solo, you have a lot of games to play, and a lot of them are able to be played solo anyways. So yeah, it's still a really good value, and to have it around the house when you just want to play with people when they come over, it's just good. It's just really good. And now that's that concludes that game. So let's move on to the next one, because the next one is Nexomon. That's a really small screen. There we go. So yeah, Nexomon. This is the next game on the list that I beat, and it's actually pretty decent. It's a kind of I don't want to say knockoff Pokemon, even though it totally 100% is. But yeah, it's actually a pretty good game for being heavily. Oh my goodness, OBS, internet. Hi, we're back. So yeah, let's go on to the next game, Nexomon. Was I grabbing there? Whatever. So yeah, Nexomon is the next game on the list, and it's actually a pretty good game for being a, I don't want to say knockoff Pokemon, but it's a knockoff Pokemon game, and it's actually a pretty good game for what it is. And you don't even, it's not even that expensive either. I think it's like $10? I'm gonna check. Oh, it's $5. It's on sale right now? It is. Okay. So yeah, normally it's $10, and that's a pretty good value for this game because it has all of the stuff that Pokemon has, except it's like slightly trying to be a little more edgy, but that doesn't detract from it at all. Really? But it's, I don't know, it was a good experience for being a knockoff Pokemon game. And it even has some things that Pokemon maybe should have. Like, it has the thing where you, yeah, you can, as your Nexomon are learning moves, they still get to keep the moves that they had, but you can only have 4 equipped at a time. So you don't need to go like to a move learner or move deleter and deal with all that nonsense. And I believe that it doesn't have HMs either. So like the Nexomon still do things for you, I think, but you don't have to sacrifice your movesets to get around the world, which is nice, but since this came out, Pokemon has been doing that, but it's still a good change. So yeah, Nexomon is fun. I have not played the sequel yet, but I've heard good things about the sequel. So hopefully they'll hold up to how it actually is, or how the game will hold up to its reviews that I have heard. That's what I was trying to say. Anyways, yeah, that's Nexomon. It's a good knockoff Pokemon game, but it's $10, so it's, I don't know, I don't want to say it has more value, because Pokemon has the big stamp of, hey, this is an officially licensed Nintendo Pokemon game, so of course it's gonna have the player support, I guess? I don't know. What I'm trying to say is that it has good value for what it is. And next is... where is it? There we go. Wait a minute. Am I delayed at all? I should have asked this earlier, but I guess it doesn't matter too much. It's not. Okay, good. Anyways, next game on the list is... oh, okay. I remember this one. Yono and the Celestial Elephants. This was an interesting one because it's, you play as a cute little elephant. And it's a Zelda-like, which is interesting. So you're going around the world as the elephant, doing stuff. You're trying to save the celestial elephants, and you're going, you're going around the world solving puzzles, finding treasures, and using all of your elephant powers to do all of this stuff, and it's just a cute game. Like, look at this cute elephant. And the art style is just adorable. It's just a good chill game. It's not that long though either, but it's not that expensive either. So I don't know. I feel like you get your money's worth more if you're not if your playtime is equal to the amount of dollars that you have paid. But it's just a fun game. I don't know what else to say about that because it's just a good chill game. You can pay the money. You can pay money to get all kinds of different skins and stuff for the game too, or for your elephant. So the money that you find all around the world can make your elephant look all cool and stuff. Like there's space skins and there's like rainbow skins and stuff. I don't know. It's just a nice, comfy, cozy game with some light puzzles. And I don't know. It's just good. And this is why I haven't been rating the games so far this year, because I don't have a lot of things to say about some of these games, because some of them are a little fillery. And also, I played the games, I played some of these games, months and months and months ago, so I don't remember everything about all of these games, but I still remember the experiences like, oh yeah, I like this game. Oh no, I hated this game. So yeah, this is just really loose this year. Because the last few years were just really time-consuming, and I didn't want that anymore. But yeah, that's Yono. It's good. You're a cute elephant in a cute world. You get skins by using coins that you find around the world, and it's just a nice, chill puzzle game. Let's move on. Next up is... oh, that's next, huh? Okay. Next up is Final Fantasy Adventure. I played this on the Switch with the, Secret of Mana collection, and yeah, this is a Secret of Mana game, not a Final Fantasy game. It's weird, because it has the Final Fantasy name, and there's a chocobo in it, but it's not a Final Fantasy game. I don't know, it's what would you classify this? An action RPG? I guess. But yeah, you're going around. By the way, this is a Game Boy game, not even a Game Boy Color game, a Game Boy game, which surprised me. But yeah, you're going around the world trying to keep the bad guys from getting the princess because she has the power of mana and I don't know, it's how do I describe this game? To be fair, I played this near the beginning of the year as well, but there are so many games on this list, it's hard to keep track of them sometimes, which is why I have a list. So yeah, you go around the world and you're trying to keep the bad guys from getting the princess, but then they get the princess, and they're using her powers to get to the Tree of Life, which gets them powers. I don't know, you get, as you're going around the world, you get different items that can be used as weapons. So like you have a ball and chain, you have a sword, I think you have a scythe at some point, you have a boomerang, you have all sorts of items that you cycle through, and it's, I don't know, the weapon selection was cool. It had a lot of different variety, with the weapons having different like attack cycles, or not cycles, but like different ways of attacking. Like some are faster than others, some are slower, some go in a different arc. But yeah, it was all right. I had a fun time with it, and it was actually not as cryptic as I was thinking it was going to be, being an early Game Boy game. It wasn't that hard to get around. And leveling up with the enemies was not, like, it wasn't as grindy as I was thinking it was going to be either. But yeah, it was a fun game. I'm looking forward to whenever I get to Secret of Mana, which was a SNES game, so it'll be more advanced and easier to, I don't know, decipher where you're supposed to go, because it's in color, and this game wasn't. But there are color options, but it's like restricted to one color. Like you can choose like green or red or brown or just grayscale. Anyways, it was a fun game is what I'm trying to say. Although, I keep saying, yeah, it was a fun game, but the majority of the games on this list are fun, otherwise I would not have finished them. Anyways, Final Fantasy Adventure, good game, I recommend. Unless, of course, you don't like original Game Boy games because they're older. Anyways. Next game. I'm already half hour in, although 5 minutes of that was like loading screen stuff still. Next game. Oh, okay. So this one is actually kind of a unique one, because it's a game as much as it is a learning tool. Learn Japanese to survive. Hiragana Battle. Now, this one I didn't talk about at all, because it's a learning tool at the end of the day. So, but it's also a game. So, it's a turn-based RPG where the bad guy is using these creatures that resemble Japanese, specifically the hiragana alphabet. So you need to learn how to, differentiate the characters from another to be able to defeat them. And it's actually a pretty decent way of learning hiragana. But you also, to properly learn how to differentiate the characters from another, you should probably use other learning tools at the same time. But this is a good way to reinforce it. So yeah, this actually helped me learn hiragana pretty well for what it is, because it's just a simple RPG Maker game in the form of a learning tool. But aside from just being a learning tool, it was actually a pretty decent game. Not too many side quests that didn't feel like they... Well, at the end of the game, the whole game is a learning tool, even the side quests. But yeah, the side quests that it didn't feel too littered with the side quests and stuff. But it also feels like you're learning from everything that's in the game. And, of course, perfect for beginners, which I was at the beginning of this. I didn't learn it. I didn't know any before playing this, but this helped me learn. So, that's cool. It's a good game and a good learning tool at the end of the day. But, again, you will definitely want to use other learning tools besides this at the same time to help reinforce what you've learned. And there are actually 3 games in this series. But we'll go over the next one later because it's actually in this list too. Moving on is the next game on the list, which is... Ooh, this is a good one, too. Gato Roboto. So, in this game, you're a cat. You're a cat in a mech. You're a cat in a mech, and you need to escape the planet. Now, this is a pretty short Metroidvania, but it's a good game. And it's only like a few dollars on Steam, which is great. Because you want to get your value out of games when you play them. Otherwise, what are you doing? Yeah, normally it's like $8. And it's on sale right now, which is cool. Because the whole winter, New Year's, Christmas sale thing that's going on Steam. And I'm sure it's on sale other places too. But yeah, Gato Roboto, it's... You play as a cat in a mech, and you're going around this planet getting all kinds of upgrades so that you can go to other places and get more upgrades so you can escape the planet. I.e. a Metroidvania. And it was pretty simple to get around the map. I didn't miss too much. I didn't have to go back for too much when playing through the game. And no, it's just a good game. A good game for a good price. And I don't know, I don't have a lot of other stuff to say other than it is good game. It is Metroidvania. Because I like Metroidvanias. Yeah, no, the dialogue is also good, and I remember okay, so you can, while you're going through the planet and getting upgrades and stuff, you can find these little, I don't know, what are they? Yeah, they're like color cartridges, so you change the color of how everything looks, and it's mostly just an aesthetic thing, but most of the cartridges that change the colors and stuff, most of them are pretty good colors. There are a few stinkers in there that are just not good at all, because they hurt your eyes. I don't know what they were thinking with some of the color palettes, but most of them, they're pretty solid. Or you could just keep it basic and black and white, but I don't know, it just doesn't feel as nice without color, in my opinion. But yeah, it's a nice, chill, simple game that you can go through with in like an afternoon or just something. It's short and it's good for its value too. I don't have a lot of other stuff to say about this because it's just a good game. Moving on. Next game in the list. We are on game 9 now, and this is a game that I technically played through before, but there was a new mode in this that I didn't play, or it adds a little bit, but it doesn't add a lot, but it's a new way to play, so I kind of counted it. The first Shantae game. I played through this years ago, but the way I played it, it did not have a GBA mode. The original way I played this was on the 3DS Virtual Console, and being a 3DS Virtual Console game, it didn't have the Game Boy Advance compatibility. But last year, they actually re-released this game on... Did they add this to anything besides Switch? It's definitely on Switch because I played it on there, but they may have changed, like they may have added it to PS4? It looks like they may have, actually. Actually, it looks like it's... Yeah, it looks like it's only on Switch right now, but it's going to be coming to PS4 eventually, maybe? Well, anyways, it's it's a good game. It's a little dated in areas, but it's nothing that I didn't expect because, well, I played through the game before, but the GBA mode actually makes it more colorful because it's on more powerful hardware, and it actually adds a new transformation that isn't available in the original release, which is the Tinkerbat. And it has all of the abilities of... Well, it has most of the abilities of other transformations. So it can climb on the walls, it can do the elephant smash, and it may be able to do something else. I do not remember, but I know it has the climbing on the back of the screen thing, like the background. It has the climbing on the background thing, and it has the elephant charge ability. So it has some of the abilities of the other transformations. But aside from those couple changes, the GBA mode doesn't change a lot for the game. But I figured it changes enough to make it a little different. I don't know, it's still dated in a certain few aspects, and I actually played this game, the original release, on my channel a while ago, but I may replay this again just on stream as a casual thing. But I don't know, it's a good game for its time, but it's still dated. And the later games are... They just make changes to the game that are very needed. I don't know. It's a good game, but it's dated. Especially compared to the later sequels to the game. Now, let's see what's next on the list. Oh, okay. So next up is Origami Nightfall. Now, this isn't a proper game in itself, but it's DLC for a game that I played. Oh, when did I play this? It wasn't 2020, was it? I'll have to double check this. Find. Nope, not on this list. So it must have been 2019? Yeah, it was a game I played in 2019. But this is DLC for that game, and it actually, it has you in the perspective of people following the person you're working for in the main game, but it's actually a prequel. So it takes place before the events of the main game. And you use the same shadow powers, and actually it adds a couple other shadow abilities to your roster that you don't have in the main game. But it was actually a pretty difficult DLC, if I have to say. But it's still pretty, no, it's it's difficult, but it's not like insanely difficult where it's like, I don't want to play this anymore because it's so difficult. It's a pretty decent balance. And you can choose to play between the man and the woman on this. You can choose between them, and I think the gameplay changes a little bit between them. I know the dialogue does a little bit, but it doesn't change a whole lot. But you can choose to kill everyone and go through and just brute force everything. Or you can choose to go through sneakily and not get caught by anyone. And you get different medals and awards for doing the two routes of going through the game. So there's different merits for going through it with these different styles. And it's good. I remember being a little unimpressed compared to how it was in the main game, but it was still a fun game. A fun DLC for a good game. And I like that it had new abilities that weren't in the original game. So it has that going for it. Moving on, next game. That's the 10th game that I played, and the 11th is, this may not be a shocker, because I played this on YouTube, Scanner Somber. Now, I did play this on YouTube, and that was actually a blind playthrough, so there's that. I don't know, this is a unique game. So you're going through this cave with this device that you just happen to find, and this device makes it so that you can actually see the cave, because as you're going through the cave is actually completely dark and it's invisible, but you're charting out where you're going in the cave by using this device that scatters dots everywhere. And you're you're able to see the walls and various objects, and even some bodies that are in the cave. Now, I didn't know this when I started it, but apparently this is a little bit of a horror game. However, there are no jump scares. Actually, there's no jump scares, but there's no, it's not like a completely safe place. You're able to fall and die, and there are also witches that are able to kill you at some point. But it's not that much of a jump scare horror game. It's more so of an environmental, oh, this place is spooky and scary kind of game. And I appreciate that it did not have any jump scares, because I do not like those kinds of games that are like, whoa, something jumping out of the dark at you. It's just not fun for me. But yeah, this was an interesting game. Like, you're going through all these different environments. Like, there's a section where, oh, there are witches attacking. Oh, there was a crazy cult over here in this part of the cave. Oh, this part of the cave has a boat where you're going through, and it's actually pretty chill. Oh, hey, this place had a lot of mining going on, and there was a lot of accidents going on that killed a lot of people. So yeah, the environments were actually kind of varied between areas, and I like that, despite it all taking place in the same cave. And it had that amount of spookiness that was like, it's kind of creepy, but it doesn't like get in your face that it's supposed to be a horror game. So I appreciate the game for doing that. Or for not doing that, I don't know. It was a good game. Next up, Seasons After Fall. So this was an interesting game. It's a Metroidvania where you do not attack enemies, and the enemies don't attack you, but you're still gaining abilities on a map, and you're going back and forth with your abilities to unlock new abilities and get to new areas and stuff. So you're this little fox. Oh, grabbed the wrong thing. You're this little fox here, and you're going through these different areas of the forest where it's winter, it's summer, it's fall, it's spring, and you're changing the environment so that you can get through and wake up these guardian spirits so that they may be able to change the seasons as they're supposed to be. It was a nice chill game, and it was actually pretty short compared to how I was expecting it to be, which was actually kind of nice because at that time I was going through a lot of games that took multiple days to go through. Although this may have taken like 2 days, maybe, through different sessions. But yeah, it was a nice short chill game. I liked it. And I also liked that there weren't any enemies, but it wasn't, at the same time, it wasn't easy. Like, the platforming wasn't the most simple thing in the world, but there's also, you don't have to worry about enemies shooting your face off. And it's actually kind of unique having a Metroidvania like that without enemies to have to worry about. Anyways, the next game, Oh, it's that, huh? Okay. Following up a game with no enemies is a game with a lot of enemies. Ape Out! Oh, that's a big image. Big image. Hey, Jay. I'm just going through games that I beat last year. So, Ape Out is a game where, well, you're playing as an ape and you're trying to get out. There's a lot of different environments in this game where you're trying to escape, and like there's like a science lab, there's an apartment complex, there's at one point a zoo that you need to escape, and you need to get your fellow animals out so you can escape because the ape wants out. And it's entirely overhead, and I don't know, it's just kind of, it's kind of cool having that kind of art style with that entirely overhead view. And the combat is actually pretty good, if not difficult, because it's a difficult game. But you can, like, grab doors to use as shields, or you can grab the people with guns and use them, have them use the guns on their fellow soldiers and stuff. But yeah, it is good game. That's the majority of the games on this list. This game is good. And how much is this on Steam? It's not that long of a game either, so you can clear it in not a lot of time. Ape Out. It's $5 on Steam right now, and it's on sale. I'm not rating them out of 10 this year because this is mostly just an on-the-fly thing, because the last few years have just been really time-consuming with the reviews. I'll probably go back in later and add a review, maybe, but it was just so time-consuming the last few years, because I would have to write out this long review, and I would be like, is this an out of 10 game? It is out of 10. And then I would have to grab the footage, whether it's trailers or whether I wanted specific footage, so I had to record it myself. It was such a time-consuming process the last few years. So I'm just keeping it nice and chill and like this. Just live thoughts that I don't have to think about a lot. So yeah, Ape Out. It is good. You grab guy, and then you have guy shoot other guy. And you also grab doors to use as shields and stuff. I think there's a B-side to the game that's actually a lot harder, but yeah, actually, I think there is. But yeah, it is a difficult game. Next up, Minecraft. Now, Minecraft is actually a game that I played a lot on and off throughout the years, but I had never beaten, I hadn't even gotten to the end before. But last year, I actually started survival mode for the first time, and it was actually a lot better experience than I was expecting, because I don't usually like having the... I mean, I always thought of Minecraft as just a builder game, and the survival aspect being not as fun, I guess. But seeing a lot of people play through just survival mode changed my opinion on it, and I was like, maybe I should give it a try. And I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. Hey Hanson, I changed my username on Twitch because I didn't want to be just a cluster of letters and numbers anymore. And did I even explain that at the beginning of the stream? I don't think I did. Anyways, yeah, I changed my username. But anyways, yeah, Minecraft. I keep grabbing the wrong thing. Minecraft is actually, it was a fun time actually beating it for the first time. Because I'd never gotten to the end. Before last year, I never even got to the Nether because I never really had a lot of reason to go to the Nether in creative. So it was actually kind of terrifying going through that, but now that I have the experience of doing all that, it's like nothing. But yeah, it was a good experience actually beating Minecraft because there's an actual end, except it's not, but it's still kind of the end because they give you credits and stuff. But yeah, next. Minecraft, I just always, pictured Minecraft as a good builder game, and I didn't really get the whole survival aspect. Did they have end cities and nether cities when I played? Yes, because I played... I just played it last year in survival mode. And I got... After I beat the dragon, I got the wings, the Elytra, and it has been great being able to just zoom wherever you want, do whatever you want, go wherever you want. And honestly, maybe it would have been a good idea to record some of that playthrough because it would have been good content, but I don't know. Maybe it's fine that I didn't, and I just kept it to a personal playthrough. Now, next up, that was the 14th game that I played. Or I guess the 14th game that I finished last year. The 15th is To the Moon. Now, this is a game that I saw a couple playthroughs on, but that didn't change my opinion on it. Like, how do I go about this? Like, only downside to Minecraft content is great, but it's so oversaturated. Yeah, you're not wrong. It is a bit oversaturated because everyone plays it because it's so popular. But yeah, moving on to the next game that I played is To the Moon. I did see a couple playthroughs of this in previous years, but because it was such a while ago, I forgot certain aspects or misremembered certain things. And actually playing it is a different experience than just watching a playthrough, even if it is kind of a point-and-click visual novel. What did I play To the Moon on? I played on Steam. And it was a good experience. It actually made me tear up at the end because of the story and how it went. And you don't really get to be able to say that with a lot of games. Like, you don't really get to be able to say, oh yeah, this game made me cry, even though I know the ending. because I already know what's going to happen. But yeah, it's an emotional game with a lot of things you don't see coming. Or I guess a few things you don't see coming. But yeah, even though it's like an RPG Maker game, it's one of the higher rated games. It's one of the better games out there that's able to make people emotional. There's a reason why it actually won best narrative for a game for, what was it, 2012? I think it was 2012 that it came out. But yeah, there's a reason why it won best narrative all those years ago. Because it's just a good game. A good game with a good story. Now, the next game that I beat in the year of 2021 was the 16th game, Mega Man X3. This game was not as good as X2, I will admit, because it just was not as fun. Now, I think what killed it for me was the amount of extra things that you needed to do. No, wait, was that X? No, wait, no, that's X2. What was X3? Yeah, X3 had extra bosses, but yeah, it was X2 that you put Zero back together. Then X3... I just remember that X3 was not as good as X2. I'll have to think about that later. But yeah, X3 was not as fun as X2. I just remember that. I feel like it was the bosses though that just killed it for me. I just don't remember what exactly it was. But I feel like it was the bosses, and because it was just not as good, I'm just not remembering it as well. Oh, well. It's unfortunate that X3 was not as good as X2, because X2 was just... It was just pretty good. It was a pretty good game. Although that business of being locked out of the good ending if you don't do things in a certain sequence, that's not great. But that still makes it better than X3. Now the next game that I beat, Darksiders. Oh, that's a big one. Holy, let's shrink that down a bit. Now, Darksiders is... I don't know, everyone says that it's a Zelda-like, and I will agree that the fact that you're going through dungeons and getting powers and items and abilities that allow you to progress through the dungeons, that makes it kind of Zelda-y, and I guess you have the heart pieces and the heart containers, or they're equivalent to that anyways in this game, but just because you have a game that's kind of similar to that in that aspect, that doesn't necessarily make it exactly like a Zelda game that everyone says that it is. But Darksiders, that doesn't make it a bad game at all either. it was actually a pretty fun experience going through all of these different areas and stuff and getting abilities so that you can go back to other areas and get more abilities and health upgrades and power upgrades and stuff. I think the thing I dislike the most, though, is not being able to take the horse everywhere. Because there are areas that you're not able to bring it out, but you're able to use the horse in a lot of places. I'm actually going to get a glass of water real quick. Just because I've been talking for nonstop for an hour now. There we go, much better. Okay. So yeah, Darksiders was... It was fun, but... I don't know what it is. I think it was the grinding that kind of lowered it a little bit, because you have to grind a fair bit of money, or I guess... souls? Was that the currency? Was the currency just souls? But yeah, you have to grind a lot to get all of the items, all of the abilities, pretty much 100%. Which, I mean, if I'm playing a Zelda-like, I'm gonna 100% it if I can. But there was a lot of grinding in this game. If you wanted everything, of course. But you don't have to grind everything, because, well, you don't have to 100% a game to enjoy a game, but that's just how I am. I just like to get the most out of my games if I can. The powers that you get and the platforming, the attacks that you can use against the enemies, they were good. I enjoyed them a lot, and I think the weapon that I used the most was it the scythe? I feel like it was one of the scythes that I used the most, because it was just such a high attack that it was just the best thing to use. Now, I'm going to move on to the next game, because I don't really have a lot of else to say about Darksiders, because... no, it was just a grindy game at the end. Mostly because I just wanted to get everything, but that's kind of on me. Okay, here's something that was related to a game that I played earlier. Learn Japanese to survive, Katakana War. So earlier in the year, I played Learn Japanese to Survive, what was it, Hiragana Battle? But yeah, this is another learning tool, kind of, that's also a game. And as a learning tool, I value it because you're able to learn katakana through this. And obviously you're going to want to use other learning tools alongside this to best learn the language, because just playing this, you're not gonna retain it as well as if you use learning tools at the same time. Now, as a game, I did not like it as much as the previous game, Hiragana Battle. Now, I don't know, it was just not as enjoyable because the characters just talked a lot, and having, like, how many characters were in it? Like 8? I think there were like 8 characters you have in the game, and they all do like different stuff. And there was also an affection thing, an affection stat that also gets you abilities and stuff, and that a lot of that extra stuff felt really unnecessary, because this is supposed to be a learning tool, so why not just stick to the learning aspect and not throw in all of this extra stuff that's not as necessary to learning the language? I mean, obviously you want to have it at least a bit like a game if you're selling it as a game that's also a learning tool, but a lot of this stuff that the game threw in was just really unnecessary and felt like padding that was not helping to teach the language. But at the end of the day, it was a pretty decent learning tool, as long as you use other learning tools alongside it so that you're able to retain the knowledge better. But yeah, at the end of the day, a good learning tool, not as good game as the first game. Next. Oh boy. Oh boy, this game. Alright, let's just bring it out. This game, Code of Princess EX. It's a beat 'em up. You're playing as Solange, the princess, as your kingdom is getting taken over by evil, bad people. And how do I continue with this game? Because like how do I? Because this this game is very silly in the fact that there is a lot of fan service and stuff, and it's the dialogue is silly as well. It's just a silly game. But it's not a bad beat 'em up either. Like, it's a silly game, but it's also not bad beat 'em up. And you have to learn the different combos and stuff to be able to... Like, you have to learn the different combos of the different characters that you can play as to get a good grasp of, like, what characters are better at what, and how you can best attack the enemies. It's just a silly game with a lot of silly dialogue and sillily dressed characters. It's just a silly game. I don't know how else to describe this game. That's not to say that it was a bad game at all, but it's very silly. Although you have to grind a little bit at the end because the enemies get a little brutal. Especially if you're switching between allies a lot and using different ones for different missions. So find the ones you want to use the most, level them up, and then use them. Anyways, let's move on to the next game, which happens to be something that I attempted to stream this a while ago, but I ended up not being as jazzed to play it on stream because I had like 2 or 3 attempts to stream this in a row, and they just didn't work out well because I kept having problems. It wasn't with the game, but I kept having technical problems with the stream, and that just made me associate the game with bad, I don't know, bad thoughts of having the stream be just not as good. Anyways, it's Beyond Oasis. You play as the character named Prince Ali. He is the prince of this kingdom that no, there's magic in the kingdom, but there's not like, it's not like widely used or anything. But you find this golden gauntlet that allows you to use the forces of nature to get around obstacles. And you also acquire weapons throughout the land that allow you to do more attacks, but the weapons are limited use, so like they either break or you run out of ammo for the crossbow, for instance. And I don't know, I'm not a fan of the weapon durability aspect of the game, but otherwise the game is pretty solid, and eventually you can find weapons and items that are unlimited use, and you can actually upgrade your abilities to use forces of nature so that they're more powerful, and you can get more powerful attacks with the magical forces. And being a Sega Genesis game, it's a little dated in its gameplay, but it's not necessarily a bad game. You just have to learn it. It takes a bit of learning to be able to play the game well. And you especially, it can be a little difficult to get a good grasp of how the game plays. But yeah, you have powers of fire, water, plant, and shadow, I believe, are the different elements of the nature that you can control. And I don't know, they're just really neat powers that you get to command. And as you're going through, I don't know, the main antagonist is this person that's in a cloak, and they have a silver gauntlet, and they're trying to acquire your golden gauntlet. And I don't know, it's a good game for its time. It has some dated aspects, but it's still a decent game. But I feel like my troubles with the game came from the fact that I don't play a lot of Genesis games, so I couldn't get a complete grasp of the controls, especially since this game, I played it on the Wii Virtual Console, so it had different controls on the classic controller that were a little weird. But maybe if I played this on original console, I may have had a better experience. Then again, maybe not. Who knows? I'll probably never know because I don't think I'm going to be buying a Genesis anytime soon. But it's not necessarily a bad game. It's just a little dated in a certain amount of aspects. Although this game's on Steam as well right now, so I could pick it up there and maybe map controls to different buttons like that would suit me best. I don't know, maybe not. It's not like it was an unfun game. It just had certain aspects that were dated compared to how gaming controls are now. Moving on. That was the 20th game that I played in 2020. Now let's move on to the 21st game that I played in the year of 2021, which is... I guess this counts? It's on the list. It counts. Donkey Kong Jr. I had never played Donkey Kong Jr. or I'd never finished it. It counts-ish. It's a really short game because it's an arcade game, and it also loops. But yeah, it's a really short game. It's just Donkey Kong, but you're playing as Donkey Kong Jr., saving original Donkey Kong, which is now Cranky Kong. The Donkey Kong family is very confusing. But yeah, it's an NES game. It's an arcade game. It exists. It exists in the archive of video games, and that's okay. It's not like it's a terrible game, but the game loop is very simple. That doesn't necessarily mean it's an easy game, but it repeats after a certain point, and it's all right. It's not anything to write home about, but like it's a classic NES/arcade game. So I don't know what else to say about it other than that. It's a classic. And this also technically counts, this next game, which is the 22nd game that I played. It technically counts. I beat it. It has a loop, but it counts as beaten. Donkey Kong 3. I don't know why this is labeled as Donkey Kong 3, other than the fact that the antagonist is, again, Donkey Kong. You're playing as Stanley down here, if you can see him, this guy. So yeah, you're playing as him, and you're in a greenhouse trying to save the plants, but Donkey Kong up here is being a jerk and throwing hives with bees or something, some kind of insect. But yeah, he's throwing the hives, and then the bugs are trying to take the flowers away, so you have to exterminate the bugs and then also get Donkey Kong out of the greenhouse. It's all right. Again, the gameplay loop is incredibly simple, and that's okay because it's an old arcade game, and it just loops forever. Now, the next game... What is the next game? Ooh, okay. So, this is actually a game that I think I may have beaten in childhood, but I don't rightly remember. But I know for sure that I beat it last year, so I'm gonna count it, kind of. Especially because I did it 100%, and I know I didn't do that during childhood when I was a kid. Yoshi's Island. So yeah, I played this. I played the Game Boy Advance version a lot. Well, maybe not a lot. Maybe that's a stretch. I played it as a kid, the Game Boy Advance version, and I definitely remember playing the later stages. I just don't know if I had beaten it. I know I didn't 100% it, but I did last year, so I'm gonna count it as a game beat for last year. So yeah, Yoshi's Island. Everyone knows Yoshi's Island. It's fun. It's a pain to 100%, but it's fun. I don't know what else to say other than it's fun because it's Yoshi's Island. Everyone knows Yoshi's Island. You play as Yoshi. You're getting Mario back to his parents. Oh, and also you're rescuing baby Luigi. And then you're bringing them back to their parents. So, it's Yoshi's Island. Everyone knows Yoshi's Island. It's a good game. I recommend playing it if you have the online Nintendo Switch thing because you have access to it. Just maybe don't 100% it, or if you do 100% it, maybe use the save states if you're going through it. Like if you're 100%ing. It's a good game, but 100% is hard. Don't recommend 100% because you don't really get anything out of it. Moving on. What's next game? A Story About My Uncle. This is a weird game. A weird game with weird frog people. So you're this kid who has found his uncle's invention in his house, which transports you to a weird alternate world where people have thrown their garbage out, and the uncle was doing weird experiments where he sent frog people there, and so, or I guess he just sent regular tadpoles, and then they became weird frog people who then took the garbage and repurposed it into homes and beds and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, you're going through this world to find out where your uncle is gone, and the gameplay itself is actually pretty solid. It's a weird premise for a story. So as you're going through this weird world with floating islands and pointy rocks and stuff, you get these jet boots, which can allow you to jump really far, and you also get like a grapple beam that allows you to swing across like chasms and just through the sky. You're playing as Spider-Man, kind of. It feels a lot like what web swinging would be in Spider-Man, kind of. It's just a grapple beam that you use to grapple across pits and chasms and stuff, and you get new things after, like another jump and stuff. Oh no, it's a short game as well. It's a weird short game that has good gameplay, I guess. Yeah. It's just a weird story, man. I don't know. It's just one of those games that's just weird, and it's okay that it's weird. And now next, ooh, this is a personal favorite of mine from last year. Tales of Berseria. This game, oh, this is a good game. This is a freaking good game. So, I had tried to play a Tales game before, but I didn't have a great experience with it. It was Tales of Symphonia. I'm gonna get hate for that maybe because I didn't like the battles that much in that game, but this game actually has fantastic combat. And paired with a great story, it's like, whoa. and the main character, Velvet, has a weapon that I have dreamt about for a while. It's an arm sword. It's a sword that pops out of your arm, like it's just shwink, and it's just so cool. And all of the characters are so well written. It's like, wow. So you're playing as Velvet, who wants to get revenge on this sort of archbishop character who has done bad things to her and her family and the people in her village. So yeah, this is a revenge story where you actually kind of get to play as the quote-unquote villains if the perspective was different, but oh man, it's just so cool. Tales of Berseria, fantastic game. I really, really like this. This would probably be one of my favorite games that I played last year because the story and the gameplay and the well-written characters and the world, holy, so good, so good. I recommend this game if you like long JRPGs because this is a long JRPG. Now, like, do I need to say anything else about Tales of Berseria? I don't think I do. Because I said, hey, the characters are good, the story is good, I like the world, I like the gameplay. Like, what do I need to say other than that? It's just a really good game. Play it if you like JRPGs. Moving on. Oh, this one. Ooh. Octo expansion. Splatoon 2 Octo expansion. This was a game that I did not enjoy as much as the main game. Mostly because of the fact that you have to pay a certain currency to continue going into the levels, and then you only have a specific amount of tries that you can try the mission, and then you have to pay more of the currency, which is really kind of limited. And if you run out of the currency, oh, guess what? You have to go grinding somewhere to get more, and no, that just made me not want to replay the levels as much. And it was just a really difficult thing that, like, it wasn't necessary to be as difficult as it was. Now, I do appreciate games that don't hold your hand, but like Octo Expansion was unnecessarily difficult. And, like, it's one thing to be difficult, but then it was just tedious to get more of the points that you need to pay to... I'm gonna skip the song, sorry. Okay, sure, that works. But yeah, it was just tedious to grind up any currency that you may need to access more levels, and that just made me not want to replay levels for other weapons, and sometimes they force you to use weapons that you just don't like at all, and I just didn't have a fun time with most of Octo expansion except for the final boss. The final boss was actually pretty neat. I will admit that it was neat. Anyways, Octo expansion, I like the main game more. Like a lot more. Especially with the fact that, the main game is mostly platforming around and shooting instead of just kill all the enemies in a certain amount of time, otherwise you die and you need to pay us more money. Not as fun. Next game is Fire and Ice. This is an NES game. It's a puzzle game where you need to use the abilities of fire and, well, I guess it was just ice, really. You need to use blocks to get around the levels, and you need to destroy all of the ice blocks in order to progress? And sometimes the puzzles were a little brutal. But I will say that it was actually a pretty well put together NES game. And I don't know what else to say other than that. It was just a pretty well put together NES game. And I've heard that this is a sequel to Solomon's Key, which I don't know much about, but it's also a puzzle game, I guess. I don't know. I just don't have a lot of things to say about Fire and Ice. It's another one of those kind of filler games, but it's not like it's bad. I guess a good way to put it is it's like a palate cleanser. Yeah, actually, you know what? It's a good palate cleanser. Yeah, that's a better way to put it than filler game. It's a palate cleanser. After playing a really good game like Tales of Berseria and then followed up by a game that I didn't like as much, Octo Expansion. Next up is Hue. So this is a game where you're using the powers of this color roulette in order to get through the world, because you're coloring like different parts of the world are different colors, and when you color the background and the foreground different colors, certain objects and obstacles disappear or reappear depending on what color you choose. And it was actually a pretty good puzzle game. And you use it's actually kind of a Metroidvania game as well, kind of. Because you're using different colors to access different parts, and you can't get to certain parts of the map without certain colors, so you need to go back and forth sometimes. So it's kind of like a Metroidvania-ish. It was neat. It's another one of those palate cleanser games, as I put it. It was good. Next is another really good game, A Short Hike. I played this game on stream in, I guess it was September? Yeah, it had to have been September because October was filled with the Halloween spooky games. But yeah, this was a good fall game. Or I guess autumn. It was a good autumn game. So you're this bird right here. I grabbed the wrong thing again. So yeah, you're this bird here. and you're trying to get to the top of the mountain so you can get reception, so you can talk to someone on the phone. And it's a short hike. It's a good game where you're you have the ability to climb and fly as you're a bird person. And you get abilities and items that allow you to traverse more of the island as you go on, and you can also, you can... Most everything on the island is optional, and it's just a nice experience to do everything. It's like you can catch fish for the fishermen, you can complete different side quests for different people, you can do a variety of different things that is mostly just side stuff. And I don't know, it's just a nice experience. Because it's just a nice, cool, chill game where you can just do whatever you want. Nothing is required except getting to the top of the mountain. You can get up there with all the feathers. You can get up there with some feathers because you actually need some of the feathers to be able to climb up as high as you want. Now, I didn't 100% this on stream because I felt like it would take a lot of time, which it took some time. I'm gonna skip this song. But yeah, it was a nice experience to 100% offline, off stream, because it was just a nice chill time. And as much fun as it was to play the game on stream, I feel like it would have just taken a lot of extra time if I had streamed all of it. So I feel like it was the right call to not stream the whole game. But it was still a really good experience. I can see why people list this as one of the top games that they play of the year whenever they play it. However, that's not my top game. It's a great game, just not my top game. However, neither is this next game because, wow. The King's Bird. This game, you're playing as this girl who flies through the air with the power of a bird, I guess? You're going through all of these levels and collecting all of... What were they even? They were just like these diamond-shaped things. But yeah, you fly, platform, run, whatever. You go through these levels, and it's a surprisingly challenging game. Like, it is actually a little brutal, the things that they are expecting you to do. Because you, sometimes you have to, glide against the wall and then pull way up to be able to get to the area that you need to be at. But then there's, spikes on the ceiling. And there's also, it was just a really brutal game. I did not expect it to be nearly as difficult as it was, because it was just so difficult. That's not to say that it was a bad game, though. The music and the controls themselves felt pretty solid. It was just really difficult. And the art style it's very nice. I really love this silhouette style that they went with. It's just nice. I like it. And the flying aspect is really cool. It was just really difficult. Next game was another kind of palate cleanser. Defunct. Hang on, I need to read just the size, because not all these are the same size. Yeah, Defunct. Did I say this already? I may have said this already. This is another one of those palate cleanser games. I played this on stream last year, and it was alright. So you're speeding through the, like, you're a robot with a wheel, but your engine is kind of broken, which explains the name Defunct, because you're kind of a defunct robot. But yeah, you're going through these jungles, these plains, these canyons, all these different places to get back to your ship, because you've fallen off of your ship and it's about to leave without you. So you kind of need to get back there. But I mean, it was a short experience. It was short, but it was very speedy. You're speeding through these levels. It was all right. Another one of those palate cleanser games. There were a fair amount of those, actually. I'm noticing. A lot of these kinds of games that were like, yeah, they're all right. They're cool. I enjoy them. They're not my favorite game, but they're all right. I didn't expect a lot of this to begin with, and it was just all right. It was all right. I think I spent like $1 on this, maybe, if that. But it was nice. Next game. Oh, jeez. Midnight Deluxe. Ignore the demo part because I played the full game. I just couldn't find any good sized headers for this. Anyways, yeah, Midnight Deluxe. It was It's a game where you're a cube and you have to golf your way into the spots that you like, the glowing holes, to be able to progress onward. And it's not a terrible game, but some of the trick shots that you're expected to do, they're not fun. It was just, this is another one of those games that I streamed part of, but it kind of dragged on after a bit. And to be honest, just streaming it may have been what kind of killed it for me, because there were a lot of parts where I was just kind of stuck for a long amount of time, and that kind of made it not fun, because I don't like being stuck in one place for a long amount of time on stream, because it just feels like I'm wasting time at that point when I could be just being good at a game. It was all right. I can see why it was only like a couple dollars on Switch. Moving on. Light Matter. Why are you so small? Light Matter. Now this is a game that is touted as a Portal-like, because it has a lot of features that are very much like the game Portal, if you don't know what Portal is, how? But yeah, it's a first-person puzzle game where you're going through a lab. Shocker. And you have to use the light in order to escape. Because if you step on parts where is not light, then you get swallowed up by the darkness and die. Because it's okay, the person that is guiding you through this abandoned lab, I guess, he described it as pretend it's like the game The Floor is Made of Lava. So yeah, that's the whole premise of the game. The floor is made of lava. So don't touch the darkness, otherwise you will die. But yeah, there's a lot of puzzles in this game because, well, it's a puzzle game. But yeah, you use the light in order to get rid of the darkness so you can get through these labs. And it's very much like Portal because it's a first-person puzzle game where you're being guided through with a disembodied voice. Yeah, that's a good way to explain it. Except instead of portals, you need to use the light, and you need to avoid the darkness. This was a good game. I got stuck a lot of times, so it melted my brain a lot in the process of going through the game. But that doesn't make it a bad game or anything. It was just mind melting at certain points. And it was fun. And no, it was just a fun experience. I streamed this. This is another one of those games that I streamed. It took one stream, and it was like 5-6 hours. I think it was closer to 5 hours. And it was a good stream. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that game. It was fairly like Portal, except with light instead of portals. And it was good. Ooh, this one I didn't talk about at all. Turok. So, Turok is one of those classic games that I think most everyone knows that may have been alive during when it came out. But yeah, Turok is a game where you're going through the jungle and fighting dinosaurs with guns and knives. It was actually a surprisingly fun game. So you need to get weapons and upgrades to weapons, and you find weapons that you permanently keep, which is nice. I wasn't expecting to be able to keep some of the weapons, and no, it's fun. It was just a fun game. You have to find keys so that you can unlock the next level, so you can go find more keys to unlock more levels, and no, you're just fighting. It's just a fun dinosaur fighting game. Because you just shoot the dinosaurs in first person. It's a first person shooter where you're fighting dinosaurs and other people from other tribes and surprisingly aliens, because of course aliens are involved. That may or may not be a spoiler on like a 20+ year old game. But yeah, they're aliens. And that's why the dinosaurs are there and why you're fighting everything. It was actually, I did not expect to enjoy it as much as I thought I would. Because it's a first-person game from, like, the 90s. But it was surprisingly good, and it actually played pretty well on PC, because that's where I played it, because it was a PC port? Or maybe it was originally on PC. Anyways, it was a fun game. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought it would anyways. Are we on the next game now? Yeah, we're on the next game. Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. Oh wow, it's in the perfect size and everything. Cool. Bloodstained Curse of the Moon is I guess it would be a not a parody, but it was inspired by Castlevania, and it's actually by I don't think it's by the original creators of Castlevania, but it's by Inti Creates, and it actually features characters from the team that made Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night, which is actually the team that it's the team that actually made the original Castlevanias. And it's honestly, it emulates the feeling of the original Castlevania pretty well. Except it actually has modern features that make it feel better. It has the option of having lives being unlimited, which is very nice because starting over from the beginning of the game is just painful. Even if the game is only a few hours long. Still though, it was a good experience. Very fun, and I'm looking forward to playing the other routes whenever I do, because there was actually more game modes in this game that I never played on stream, and actually, yeah, this was another game that I played on stream. What else do I say about this game? No, it just emulates Castlevania really well, because it's it may or may not have featured developers from the original Castlevania games. I don't know. I need to look into that more. But it definitely has characters from Ritual of the Night, which is by the original creators. Anyways. Next game. Bloodstained was a good game. Looking forward to playing more of those games. Oh, this one's interesting. Fractured Minds. This was a short game. It was good. It was creepy. It was perfect for Halloween, because I was doing a month of streaming only Halloween-ish games that are spooky and creepy and maybe just a little creepy. But yeah, it was a good game. A good fit for the year, or the month, rather. Because October is Halloween month. And it was actually a really, really short game. It was like 20 to 30 minutes. And oh no, it deals with the mind, which is honestly one of the creepiest things you can do. Having things that deal with the mind. The mind is just a terrifying thing at the end of the day. Next up, Dear Esther. This, oh no, the Steam lists it as a horror game, but it's not really. It's mostly just a walking simulator in kind of a creepy-ish setting, except it's not that creepy. It's just abandoned and stormy. And I don't know. It looked pretty, but it's not. Well, it's not even that it looked pretty. It looked realistic. Realism does not equal pretty all of the time, and this game is a good example of that. But yeah, it looks kind of realistic, and I don't even know what else to say about this other than the fact that the narrators sounded really pretentious, and that kind of turned me off of the game. And the fact that there wasn't any real gameplay, it was just a walking simulator, that, This was, It was an game. It wasn't good, it wasn't bad, it was just, It was not as Halloween-y as I was hoping either. Okay, here we go. Okay, so the next game on the list that I beat is, according to my list, the next game that I beat is Kingdom Hearts Final Mix. I am going to be saving all of the Kingdom Hearts games that I beat this year for the end, because I'm just going to be grouping them together because there are 3 on this list. Okay, well, actually, it'll be near the end. But, moving on, because I'm going to be saving Kingdom Hearts for the, near the end. Next one was Pony Island. This, what do I even say about this? It was creepy? I don't know. So it's a game where you're stuck inside the game and you have to escape with your soul intact because the game is demonic, kind of. And the creator keeps making the game unwinnable, so you need to hack the game, kind of. Not really, but but yeah, you need to hack the game that the creator has made inside the game to make it winnable. And it was a really interesting game. Kind of creepy, and no jump scares, which I am all for. And it's also kind of demonic. It was a fun game. I enjoyed. So, next game. The next game Man, we're at 2 hours already? Holy. Next game on the list that I beat in 2021 is The Mummy Demastered. Let's get that to be the right size. The Mummy Demastered. This is a Metroidvania game. Very loosely based on the Mummy movie that came out a couple years ago. Starring, what was it, Tom Cruise? But yeah, I say it's very loosely based on that movie because the only character that is in that movie that is also in the game is the mummy. This person. Or I guess this mummy. But yeah, that's the only character that is similar to the movie and the game. I don't know, I haven't actually watched the movie, but from what I can gather, that's the only character that is in both. Now, this is actually a really good licensed game. So, as I mentioned, it is a Metroidvania, and you're just trying to thwart evil mummy's plans. And as you're going through these levels, these maps, you find weapons that you can use against her army of the dead, and also bats and bugs and stuff. But yeah, you find all these kinds of weapons, like guns and flamethrowers and like lasers, and all of them are really different. And they're varied, which is cool. It's great. It's fun. I like that. I like varied weapons and stuff. And every time you die, your character that you're playing as actually dies. And you get started playing as a different soldier. And you have to go back and kill the corpse that you were previously, because you have your corpse that was previously being played as is reanimated as a zombie, and they'll have all of the weapons and stuff that you were just using, so you have to kill them and get your weapons back, even though you're playing as a new character. And that's actually interesting that when your character dies, they actually die, but you can continue playing as a different character. And you may be saying, hey, that just sounds like a roguelike. No. Roguelikes have randomized maps and stuff, and randomized weapons and stuff, and this is not a roguelike. I don't like roguelikes. I like this game. This game is a Metroidvania. But yeah, this was a really good licensed game. And that shouldn't be surprising, considering it's by WayForward, and WayForward, they tend to make really good games. Even their licensed games tend to be pretty good. WayForward is just great. They're actually the people who made another game on this list earlier, Shantae. Yeah, they're the Shantae creators. Anyways, next game. I like The Mummy Demastered. It was a good game. Because it was WayForward. The next game on this list is another Halloween game. The Wolf Among Us. This was a good game. So you are playing as Big B Wolf as you have to unravel the mystery of what is going on in Fabletown, where people are being murdered and having their heads chopped off and stuff. You have to figure out who's doing who done it. Who done the crimes, as you are the sheriff. And it was a really good story. And I don't know what else to say about that. Like, it's a point and click adventure, and with a lot of quick time events, and I know it was just a really good story. And the gameplay, it's quick time events, and choices matter, so make of that what you will, but it's still a really good story. However, it is rated M, and very, very much rated M, so be careful. I don't know what else to say about that. Next game on the list. What is next game? Oh. Ghostbusters, the video game. So, this game is pretty much just Ghostbusters 3. If there was a third movie, this game would be Ghostbusters 3, the movie, the video game, the movie, the video game, the movie. It feels exactly like the first two Ghostbusters movies. And that's cool. It's just in video game form. And honestly, it plays really, really well for being a movie tie-in game. So you're playing as just some random dude that's joined the Ghostbusters. And I don't know, it feels weird that you're not playing as one of the four. Instead, you're just playing as a random self-insert. But aside from that, it feels exactly like the Ghostbusters movies. And I don't know, it just plays really well. You catch ghosts. You're busting the ghosts. Busting makes me feel good. And I don't know what else to say other than that, because it's just a good game where you're catching ghosts. Oh, wait, actually, I do have something to say. That last level, oh my god, it dragged on. Actually, a couple of the levels in this game dragged on a bit. They just felt long. They just felt really, really long compared to how they could have been. But maybe that's because I view this as a Ghostbusters 3 movie instead of a Ghostbusters video game, which would be longer. Instead of how I viewed it as a movie, because this really feels like it would be Ghostbusters 3. Like, if there was a third movie, this would be it. But yeah, it was a good game. It's just a couple of the levels felt like they dragged on, and it was weird that it was a random self-insert character instead of playing as one of the main four. Still though, good game. I played there's a remaster of the game out now, but I didn't play the remaster. I played the original version, because that's what I bought before the remastered version came out, and I didn't feel like buying the game again just for remastered graphics and stuff. Maybe the remastered version changes some things. I don't know. Anyways, next game. This game is probably one of my favorites of the year, Metroid Dread. This should not be a surprise to anyone that this is one of my top favorite games. Metroid Dread is it's just such a good game. Obviously, being a Metroid game, it's a Metroidvania, considering that the genre comes from its name. So, yeah, Metroid Dread, you're going through the planet trying to escape these robots. Hang on. These robots, you're trying to escape them because they're trying to hunt you down because of your DNA and stuff. And it's genuinely terrifying running away from them when you don't have the right equipment to fight them. And it's actually a lot of fun to go through the levels as well. And finding all of the weapon upgrades and just a lot of stuff is just so good about this. They executed this game incredibly well, and it was voted as one of the best games of the year for a reason, and it actually won. Which award did it win? It won. Where is it? Game Awards 2021. It won Best Action and Adventure Game. Like, it won Best Action Adventure Game for a reason, because it is so good. It plays really, really well. It has a good story. It looks fantastic. It's just a really solid game overall. One of the best games I've played last year. It might even be my favorite. I'm still debating on that to this day. Because Tales of Berseria was earlier in the year for me. Next game on the list. Because I'm done talking about it. It's a really good game. I don't know what else to say. Running away from the Emmys is terrifying, and that just adds more to the game. Next up, Star Fox 64. It was a good game. I don't have much else to say other than that because it's a good game. It's Star Fox 64. What more do you want? Once you get a hold on the controls, it controls pretty well. And it feels good to be good at the game. You may need to go through the game a few times to get a really good grasp on it, but the game is short enough that it doesn't even matter that how many times you go through it. Unless, of course, you start getting tired of the levels, but that just means finding new routes to go through and mastering those afterward. But Star Fox 64, it's just a fun game. Fun game for the N64, and there's a reason why it's so fondly remembered. Next up, Mario Party Superstars. Now, I think I can count this as beat because there are credits that you unlock by going through all of the boards, and I did go through all of the boards and unlock the credits and viewed the credits. So I think that counts. I think that counts. But anyways, yes, Mario Party Superstars is the best, hands down, the best Mario Party that has come out in years. Now, it has classic boards from previous Mario Party games. It has a lot, and I mean a lot. I think it has like 100 mini games from previous Mario Party games. But the only thing that's keeping it down is the fact that there are only 5 boards and a small selection of characters to choose from. However, there are rumors going around that there's going to be more boards released for this game. And there are also rumors that there are going to be more characters along with those boards as DLC. Hopefully it'll be free DLC, but yeah. This is the best Mario Party game that has come out in years, and I will not dispute that fact. Because it's just, it's classic Mario Party. It's classic Mario Party. What else? Everyone has been clamoring for classic Mario Party for years now, and this is exactly it. It's classic Mario Party. What else could you ask for except for maybe a bigger selection of characters and boards? Like, this is the most definitive Mario Party that has come out in years. Okay, we have come down to one of the final games. Game number 47. And also a couple others. So I did skip Chain of Memories earlier because this is... because I wanted to group all of the Kingdom Hearts games together. So, yeah, these games are next. Kingdom Hearts 1 Final Mix, Kingdom Hearts Re-Chain of Memories, and Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix. I'm grouping them together because they're the same franchise and also other reasons. So I'm just gonna go over Kingdom Hearts 1 briefly because I played the majority of the first game years ago, over in 2016, I want to say. That sounds right. So yeah, I played the majority of the game in 2016, and it's Final Fantasy and Disney. What else can I say? So yeah, it's a good game. There's a reason why this franchise is well loved. You're going through Disney worlds as Sora, and you're fighting the darkness that is everywhere. And there are Disney villains that are trying to hinder your progress and stuff. I don't really have a lot to say about Kingdom Hearts 1 because the majority of the game that I played the majority of the game years ago, and I only just finished it this year because I finally got my PS3 working again. So yay. Now, moving on to Re-Chain of Memories. Chain of Memories was originally released on the Game Boy Advance, and then it was re-released onto PS2 and later PS3 as Kingdom Hearts 1.5 Remix, Final Mix, whatever. But yeah, Chain of Memories, or I'm just gonna say Chain of Memories, even though it's referring to the remake, Chain of Memories. This game down here. But yeah, Chain of Memories. It's a weird one for me. It's a really weird one for me. Not in the fact that it's... So, the majority of the game is just a retread through the games, or through the levels that you went through in the first Kingdom Hearts game. But the combat is way different. Instead of being a hack and slash? Would it be a hack and slash? Instead of having the regular combat that you have in the first Kingdom Hearts game, you have a card-based battle system where you're still moving around the map like you would in the first game, but instead of just straight up attacking, you have to use cards to initiate your attack. And for the longest time in the game, it was just tedious, incredibly tedious to fight enemies. And I just did not like it at all for the longest time, because I just couldn't get cards that were effectively fighting enemies. Then I actually learned the combat and got better cards, and while the game didn't feel as good as fighting in the first game, it was a lot more manageable. I still way preferred the first game's combat, but I finally got over the hang up that I had with it, which was just weird combat. But that was just Sora's story. Sora's story is just you collect the cards and you go through this castle that is slowly whittling away at your memories, so that you're able to remember less and less as you move forth through the Castle Oblivion. And it's weird, man, because I don't even know how to continue. It's just a weird game. And if you don't play Chain of Memories, or at least know the story from Chain of Memories, Kingdom Hearts 2 makes zero sense. Like, what is going on in the beginning of the story? Why is Sora in the place that he is in? Well, you should have played the Chain of Memories, or at least watched the cutscenes and stuff. But yeah, Chain of Memories is weird. It's just a weird entry in the series. And then... well, actually, I should probably mention Chain of Memories, or I guess Chain of Memories in general, introduces a group of, I guess they would be villains. They're an organization, Organization 13. But yeah, they're the organization, and they're these people in cloaks that are watching Sora's progress, I guess. And for the most part, they don't interfere with what he's doing in the first game and in Chain of Memories, but then there's a subset of that group that is like, oh, we need Sora to fight for us so we can take over the organization, and the rest of the organization can go die or something. And throughout Chain of Memories, you do not know what these people are about are about or who they are or what they're doing. Like, it's just a complete mystery, and it's like, what is going on? This game is melting my brain, along with Sora's. And then we move on to Kingdom Hearts 2, because then at the end of Kingdom Hearts, just Chain of Memories, Sora's memory has to be restored, and then it takes like a year and stuff for him to get his memories back. And then in Kingdom Hearts 2, it continues the story from there. It goes into detail about who the organization is, what they are, and stuff, and it's cool. It's actually cool now that you know what's going, like, now that you're starting to realize what is going on. And then there's the Disney part of it that's there. In Kingdom Hearts 2, they added new worlds and places that weren't in there in the first game, and they took out a few worlds on, and I don't know. But yeah, they added new stories, like for the worlds that were returning, and where do I even start with those? So in Agrabah, I'll start with that because that's the one I remember the most and is the most noteworthy. In Agrabah, Aladdin's world, they actually adapted the Return of Jafar, which is like, what? You can do that? You can just go about, like, you can go into the movie that everyone kind of forgets about? They're like, yeah. It's like, okay, I guess we're doing this. Because nobody remembers Return of Jafar because of reasons. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool that they did that with Agrabah. And next, they actually adapted part of the actual movie from Nightmare Before Christmas into the Nightmare Before Christmas world, because they only had Halloween Town in the first game. And I found it kind of weird that the world was even returning. But okay. And they did the same thing with Atlantica and The Little Mermaid. Like, the first game didn't show anything that was in the first movie, but then the second game does have it more related to the movie. A little weird, but okay. And then they added a few different worlds. They added freaking Lion King, which is like, what? And then they turned Sora into a lion cub, and it was like, oh, okay, how is combat gonna work here? Oh, okay, that's how. And then they added Beauty and the Beast, which is like, what? And they added Mulan, which is also like, what? And Pirates of the Caribbean, which is like, what? I thought you were only doing animated movies. Okay, sure, let's jump on this ship with Captain Jack Sparrow and fight the skeleton pirates. Sure, why not? That sounds cool to me. Even though they didn't get any of the actors that were in the movie. Instead, you have knockoff Jack Sparrow, or knockoff Johnny Depp playing Captain Jack Sparrow. Even though every other voice actor for every character from the other worlds pretty much returned. The voice actors that they could get anyways. What other worlds did they add? They took out Neverland and Tarzan's world. But yeah, it felt weird to have some of the worlds that were returning and had different stories. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But yeah, going through all of these different Disney worlds was fun. And having new ones and returning ones, that was neat. And having the story that it did with everything that happened, it was it was just a good game. And having the abilities that you gain tied to forms that you can unlock for Sora, I don't know. I feel like I would have enjoyed it more if the abilities were just standalone from the forms, but they chose what they did, so that's just how it is. Honestly, I don't know what else to talk about with Kingdom Hearts series, because they're good, they're fun, story is interesting enough. I'll get to playing, or at least watching, the rest of them, because 2 of the games that are included in 1.5 and 2.5 remix are just the cutscenes. So I guess I'll watch those / play those / whatever. I don't know. That's a lot of ranting about Kingdom Hearts, because it's 3 games worth. Holy. Next up is the final game that I played. Moo Cartographer. This is the game that I played the day before New Year's Eve. So this one's a really experimental one. So I don't even know how to describe this. You are a map, kind of. You're looking for treasure, and you need to fiddle around with all of these different gauges and switches and dials to figure out where the treasure is, and then the treasure will lead you to a clue that'll lead you to more treasure, and it was really interesting. I wasn't sure if I would be able to beat it on stream, like halfway through the stream, but then things suddenly clicked, where I would be able to find what these clues mean, or what dials I have to turn, what switches I have to push. You just have to keep playing with the game until you figure out what does what, because there's no instructions, but that's okay that there's no instructions, because you eventually figure it out if you fiddle with enough things. It's just a nice little sandbox game that you just play around with until you figure it out completely. And it's just a neat game. It's tiny, but it's neat. Oh yeah. Thanks, Funky Kong. But yeah, it's just a neat game. I find it really interesting. And I think that's gonna do it. Man, I've been ranting about games I played last year for 2 hours and 40 minutes. Huh. Yeah, Cartographer. Neat game that you find treasure in and you fiddle around with dials and switches and knobs and all kinds of stuff to figure it out what does what, and I think that's neat. There's no instructions, so you need to figure it out all yourself. And if you're not smart enough to figure it out, I guess you're looking up guides, buddy. Anyways, that's all the games. That's all the games that I've beaten in the year of 2021. Hopefully next year will... Oh, it's next year now. Hopefully in 2022... Hopefully in 2022, I find some really good games to play. But in the meantime, I don't know what I'll play. I just don't know. So, am I just going to cut it here? I may just cut stream here because I've been ranting for 2 hours and 40 minutes. And I think I can just leave it at that. So I don't know. No, that's not. Okay, so on Wednesday, we are going to be hopping back into Pokemon Emerald because there's post-game stuff that I want to stream. So, yeah, we're going to be doing that on Wednesday. And then on Friday, we're going to be doing the same thing because I couldn't figure out what game I wanted to play in time. Oh, my voice is tired. Talking for 2 hours straight. Oh, no. So yeah, thanks for coming out and watching, and I guess mostly listening because I didn't really do anything on here except move these around. And yeah, I'll see you later for more games, more streams and stuff. Let's just stop the music here. So yeah, I'll see you later for more streams. Bye.